build character. They reveal it. Just think about that for a second. When the pressure suddenly spikes and that clock is ticking down, whatever was inside you before that exact moment, well, that's exactly what becomes visible. What wasn't there, it simply isn't going to magically appear on demand. In this explainer, we're looking at a pretty profound truth drawn from the work of Kenneth Blanchard and Norman Vincent Peale. You see, nobody asks for a crisis, but a crisis will eventually ask for every single manager. And the absolute worst time to prepare for your moment of truth is the very moment you're right in the middle of it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because look, if you are a manager who hasn't faced a massive, foundation-shaking crisis yet, right now is literally the perfect time to think about how you're going to behave when you finally do. The core message we're unpacking today is that a crisis, it's really just a test, not a condition. It's testing the values and principles you already have on standby. We're going to explore exactly how ethical leadership in a major crisis is actually built years before the disaster ever even arrives. Section 1. The Tragedy of the Reversed Vote of 1986. To really get this premise, we have to ground it in a very real, visceral tragedy. And we're not doing this as an accusation, but as a deeply respectful case study of what happens when the pressure of a moment just completely overwhelms the preparation. We're going back to 1986. A project manager had a 12-hour window to just say no. He had all the data. He honestly said, this is a risk. But he didn't say no. And the difference between those two sentences literally changed history forever.
Let's walk through this timeline together. We're looking at the events leading right up to January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. In the days prior, the engineers at Morton Thiokol, they knew that the O-rings on the solid rocket boosters just wouldn't withstand the freezing temperatures expected on launch day. They warned people. Actually, they voted against the launch. But as we moved to the night before, intense schedule pressure from NASA really began to mount. Late that night, under immense pressure, management reversed the vote of their own engineers. The launch went ahead the next morning, and just 73 seconds later, the shuttle exploded.
Now, what's really interesting here is the precise phrase that shifted the course of that entire night. When management pressured the team to reverse their safety vote, the directive was literally, take off your engineering hat and put on your management hat. That right there, that is the exact moment of ethical failure. It's kind of chilling in its simplicity, isn't it? This wasn't some sudden crisis of character in the heat of the moment. No, this was the result of a character and a culture that had been slowly wearing down for years, prioritizing schedule over safety until it all culminated in this one fatal sentence.
The result of that reversed vote and that single sentence was the tragic loss of 7 astronaut lives. 7 people died because, in that moment of truth, the ethical preparation simply wasn't there. The character deficit was totally exposed. When the crisis demanded a firm, absolute no, the people in charge just couldn't deliver it. And this is exactly why we have to understand that the foundation of our decisions is built in the quiet, calm moments, absolutely not in the eye of the storm.
Which brings us to Section 2, 5 exercises of ethical leadership. We're transitioning now from the specific tragedy of the Challenger to a much broader, highly actionable management framework. So, how do we ensure we don't make those same mistakes? How do we build that ethical shield? Well, it all comes down to preparation, not improvisation.
So, the crucial point is that ethics in a crisis is never about sudden improvisation. The source material outlines 5 core ethical principles that make up your moral foundation: purpose, pride, patience, persistence, and perspective. It's not just a matter of suddenly asking yourself what your moral core is when things go horribly wrong. It's a question of whether you've been actively training that core for years. These are the pillars that actually keep you grounded when the pressure is screaming at you to put on your management hat and ignore the facts.
And this perfectly illustrates the distinction you've got to make in your own life. Notice the stark contrast we're looking at. On the left, 5 abstract ideas. On the right, 5 tangible exercises. Purpose, pride, patience, persistence, and perspective, they can't just be abstract ideas that look pretty on a company poster in the break room. They have to be exercises. If you aren't actively practicing them today, or you're calm and the stakes are super low, you simply won't have access to them in your moment of truth. You really have to train them like a muscle.
Moving into Section 3, the 5-step crisis protocol. Right now, I want you to imagine the absolute hardest business choice of your entire life. It's staring you right in the face. Are you prepared for it? If you have a clear, structured framework ready to go, amazing. But if you don't, well, then you know exactly what kind of work lies ahead. Let's look at a tangible, highly structured toolkit provided by the source material for when disaster actually hits and things start falling apart.
Here is the 5-step crisis protocol. When the pressure is immense, follow this exact rhythm. First, stop. Give yourself 5 seconds of absolute silence. Don't react. Second, check. Take 30 seconds to run through 3 internal checks regarding the law, the balance of the situation, and looking at yourself in the mirror. Third, talk. Spend 10 minutes consulting someone you deeply trust. Fourth, write. Take 1 hour to create a written record of your decision and the exact reasons behind it. And finally, step 5, act. Implement the decision.
Now, I know a crisis is designed to make you feel completely panicked. It creates this incredibly powerful illusion that you have to react instantaneously, without even thinking. But remember the crucial reality here. Most crises actually ask for minutes. And the truth is you have them. You have those 5 seconds to stop. You have the 30 seconds to check your internal compass. You have 10 minutes to talk to a confidant. You have the time to utilize the protocol, but only if you intentionally choose to claim that time rather than just giving in to the panic.
Section 4, Daily Preparation for the Unknown. Let's move to and see how this builds into your everyday life. Because knowing the protocol is one thing, but having the actual discipline to execute it, that requires daily routine. We're shifting our focus now toward the actionable, everyday preparations you can start adopting right now, today. Remember, we're training for the unknown, so the preparation has to be consistent.
Think of this matrix not as some heavy, burdensome vow, but just as a gentle daily checklist, small, easy rituals to build your ethical muscle memory. So for today, just give yourself 10 minutes to step back and gain some perspective. Over the course of this week, practice writing down 3 clear no's. Just get used to setting those boundaries. Every month, do a T+5 audit, where you look back at one decision you made 5 days ago just to see how it holds up. Every quarter, have a deep, honest conversation with your trusted confidant. And every year, take a little time to formally revisit your core purpose. These are the small, everyday exercises that slowly build the character the crisis will eventually reveal.
So we arrive at the end of this explainer, and I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. When you wake up one morning and an unpredictable crisis finally arrives right at your doorstep, what's going to save you? Will it be some sudden improvised burst of genius, or will it be quiet, practiced readiness? The evidence overwhelmingly shows that readiness will always triumph when your moment of truth finally arrives. Prepare today, while it's calm, for the absolute unknown of tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep building that readiness.